Hey, welcome to day number 19 of 21 days of prayer for your business. Remember, this can be not just about business, it can be actually about any aspect of life. You insert whatever else is that you want besides business. Also, remember that it's okay if you get stuck on day 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, 8, 9, or 10. Just pick back up with wherever you left off and keep on trucking forward. So many times people say, I got stuck on day so-and-so and I just have to start all the way back over. No, don't do that. Just keep swimming. Should we sing the song? No, let's not do it. Just keep going on. So, today's topic is pretty good. It is... Do you not
Examine your experiences. I never can remember what the names of the titles are.
It's so funny because even after when we go to load the videos, he's always like, hey, he texts me every time. What was the title chapter again? I'm like, how can you not remember?
Well, it could be like examining your experiences or
Yeah.
examine, and I never remember what the exact wording is.
Whenever we talked about you are uniquely made and how he has to be exactly precise. You're uniquely made. Okay. Today we are talking all about examining your experiences. And, you know, each video that we do, I always go, this is one of my favorite topics. Honestly, I think they're all my favorite topics. But this one is something that we implement very often in our lives. I even think we've referenced it several times in our videos. And if you haven't got a journal, I encourage you, if you don't have the book, because I give you tons of writing space inside the book. You don't have to have the book to go through these videos, but I just ask if you don't have the book to please go get a notebook, a journal, so you can just write out your thoughts. We share so many of our personal stories and how we've applied these topics to our own lives. Just to give you some context and like maybe kind of get some ideas rolling in your head of how you might can relate to it. But like, you're going to get the most out of this study if you are examining your own experiences, if you're applying each chapter and filtering it through your own life and where you are.
There's some topics that we've already discussed that like you can't really move past unless you do them, like, you know, give God control and, you know, a few of those other ones like that. You're like, yeah, it's hard to move past those, but this one is like you can see the most positive results and growth from doing this. It's like immediate. Like once you start doing this, it will change everything.
Yes. You know, I feel like we've always been good at this, but I heard something that John Maxwell said. He's a great leadership author, speaker, and on the topic of leadership. And he said, experience is not your best teacher, but evaluated experience is your best teacher. Because so many times you think, oh, well, I did so-and-so, or I did this, and that taught me a lesson, or that taught me how, and it can. But like, if you can step back and evaluate that process, it's going to teach you even more than what that lesson itself taught you.
Yeah, and sometimes you have the experience and you're like, that was a life-changing experience, and then like 2 years later you're just like in the same spot. Like you tend to forget those things, but when you evaluate it, you think about it, how, you know, you talk about it in the book, the questions to ask yourself, you know, what happened, how did this make me feel, and then you put some action steps down on paper for the future circumstances of this, then that really is a game changer.
Yeah, and this kind of process can actually be hard for some people because it might confront things that you didn't do quite well or you could have done better, and sometimes you want to like be defensive or even kind of have a moment of this like condemnation or feeling guilt. I got to giggling thinking about today as we're driving down the road. By the way, this is something, even though I say we implement it in our lives, it's not always easy just because we implement it. But today we were driving down the road and we're getting ready to go on this big trip. We're going to be gone for 60 days. And we have got a golden doodle named Copper that we are absolutely obsessed with. I mean, it's a little probably unhealthy how obsessed we are with this dog. We got this dog right after our lab passed away, shortly after our lab passed away. And both of our daughters had just got married and left. And I said we weren't going to get another dog.
Let me just give some context to this story. Our lab Piper, bless her soul, God rest her soul.
Great dog.
Great dog. She did not like us very much. She was like a cat.
No, I think she liked us, babe. I think she liked us. It was just...
No, she just could... You couldn't even touch her. She was just like... Like,
her love language was not physical touch. Let's just say that. Her love language was
quality time.
No, not just quality time, but like she liked to like works. Like you needed to like throw the ball and do stuff like that.
Time.
Yeah, probably quality time. But like she one time we were really going off on a tangent, but I remember I woke up really early one morning and I went and sat on the couch and she was laying on the couch. I was like, oh, this is so sweet. I'm going to curl up next to her and rub her. She just gets off the couch, like, so put off that I came and sat down next to her, and she just goes and walks up the steps, and I hear her plump down on the couch upstairs. I'm like, that's so rude. Why did you do that?
You could literally leave her. Like, she was a good dog. She never tore up anything. She didn't use the bathroom in our house.
No.
You could literally leave her 5 or 6 hours, how much, and you come back and she just be like,
she was not excited to see you.
But Copper, OMG.
Yeah, Copper is like so...
Touch me.
And like we walk back in and he's like, oh my gosh. Like,
I walk outside to put something in the truck and I come back and it's like one of those videos where the army guy goes to army, like gets deployed for like 2 years. And then he comes home and the dog freaks out. That's what Copper does if I walk outside to my truck and get something out of my truck.
It's like I was gone.
Every time.
For fact, we'll be gone about 30 minutes filming this video, and it is so funny because we'll go back upstairs and it will be like we have gone on this 60-day trip that we're about to go on. And anyway, that was a major rabbit trail. I've done really good not to chase rabbits on these videos.
So I'll bring us back.
Let's bring
Evaluated
us back.
experience.
Do you even know what I'm about to say?
Evaluated experience was what we're going to do with this dog because we keep going on trips and we just don't do anything about it.
Well, not that we leave her by herself, but our parents, him. Not that we leave him by himself, but our parents are here. His parents are here. That would be our parents. My parents and his parents are here. Y'all were struggling. Kids are around. I mean, there's lots of people here at the land, and they'll go check on him and love on him and play with him. But it's like we feel like somebody needs to be there at all times.
They're not quite as obsessed with him as we are.
Yes, and we don't feel like they give him enough quality time that we would give in touch. Like you need to love him. Anyway, so I say all that to say that was a lot. We were driving down the road, and Jer says, what are we going to do? And I was like, well, I've got so-and-so lined up, so-and-so lined up. And then if like everybody takes a week, then it doesn't spread it. It's 8 weeks. This person has 2 weeks. This person has 2 weeks. This person has 2 weeks, and then we've got this one person coming in that's going to stay for a week. We kind of got to have these house sitters lined up. And so Jer says, the problem is we just are waiting till the last minute. This is what happens every time. Well, he's evaluating the experience, the past experience.
And I say, it perplexes me because we can't figure it out. That's what I start with that.
And I tend to get offensive and go, oh my goodness, well, I have lined up this and I've lined up this and I've lined up this. He's like, hey, I'm just saying this is our track record. I'm not saying that you. And so
I'm not blaming you for anything.
I'm not blaming you, but so I'm saying all of that to say, sometimes when we examine our experiences or when we examine something, we can tend to want to get defensive or like make it feel like, oh, there's something bad, we're horrible. No, it's just like, this is the prior experience that we've had. Let's make sure we change in the future.
Well, or, hey, that was really good. Let's keep doing that.
Right. It doesn't have to be negative.
Always negative, yeah.
What was something that was good? So what I say to you in the study, if you've got the book, I ask you to think on times of like how you can evaluate an experience. And it's looking at the things that you could have done better and the things that you did right. And what kind of results did those produce? And so, for instance, when we very first started doing these videos, I think within the first 1 or 2 videos that we did, we thought we set our phones to do not disturb, which I just remembered I did not change my phone. But every single time after that, because a call went through because it was picking up some Wi-Fi, apparently, we knew to turn it on to airplane mode. So just examining, like, what could we have done better? Another thing in it, we've kind of played around with cameras. We started with one camera, we moved to another, we changed up some audio and doing different things. And so
lighting.
We even purchased some lighting, to kind of help, but we're evaluating it. And also I want to say, we can tend to fall into that little perfectionism realm. That's a whole nother video you need to go back and watch. But like, we understood these videos when we first get started are probably not going to be like our dream, like, oh my goodness, these are epic, the way we edited it and the way we did this, and we had intros and thumbnails and all of that. But we've said we wanted to do this for so many years, and we've never done it because we've tried being perfect. So we've looked back at our experience and go, we never started this YouTube channel that we've legit been trying to start for over 10 years now. Why? Well, you know what? We're going to press play, we're going to press record, and we're going to do this, and we're not going to get caught up in the whole perfection of it because we know it gets us stuck.
And here's an interesting caveat to this conversation. I actually evaluated other people's experiences. I went back and looked at the very first videos on a couple of different channels that I like. That they do a great job, phenomenal job. They're like splicing in music and voiceovers and this camera angle and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, God, they're so good at this. And you scroll back like
7 years,
hundreds and hundreds of videos to the first ones, and they're like, they're terrible.
Yeah, it's not good. It's so funny. In our previous business that we were in for about 10 years, when we first got started, I recorded all of these videos, and I was just kind of teaching some different things, and tons of people watched them, and that's how they got their training. And once we started doing better financially, I bought all this fancy equipment and did all of these things. And people were like, I was so excited to replace those old videos that were like bad lighting. We lived near a train track and the train was like going by and I'd have to stop. I didn't even know how to edit that out. I would just stop and let the train go by, and there was like a rabbit in a cage right next to me that making noise that were so bad. Like, the lighting on the whiteboard was bad. It was dark. And I was so excited to have these professional videos put up, and the week I put it up, my inbox blew up with all these people going, hey, can I just have the link to the old ones? These are great, but like, we just really like the old videos. And I'm like, what? Oh my goodness. And so you learn through all of that, even that experience, as we've evaluated, it's like, just get started. So I would ask you, think about those things. If it's in business, think about some business successful moments you've had, or some times that maybe you felt stuck, or some things that maybe you would even deem didn't work out. Can you evaluate those experiences? If it's in a relationship, or maybe parenting or marriage or something, there's always times that you can evaluate that. You can evaluate like, oh, well, maybe we just haven't been on a date night in a while, or maybe, we're been just focusing so much on business. Like, evaluate your experiences.
Or I even heard recently on a podcast, a guy that was dealing with some anger issues. He was saying that he's worked on it for years, and what's changed is, like, for instance, his kids was getting on his nerves and doing something he told him not to do, and he like blew up on them. But then he evaluated that experience, and he went back and said, hey buddy, I'm sorry, what you did, I told you not to do, so that's not changing. You're still in trouble. However, I shouldn't have had that big blow up and got angry and yelled at you. So it's like evaluating in that moment of, even with your kids or your spouse, can really help out.
Yeah. And so man, we'll link that video in our podcast in this, because I feel like we've referenced that podcast so many times. are you thinking about? Are you evaluating? Should we? There might be some bad words on that one.
It's good.
Yeah, just fish through it, and pull out the bad stuff. But there was some really good
I think
points
we've
on
already posted a link to it, but
have
we can post
Yeah,
another.
we'll post a link again. But I want you to think through those. And then remember, even if it was something that was negative, evaluating that nothing is ever a failure if you learn something from it. And you can't do that unless you evaluate it. I make reference in the book, sometimes it feels like you take, one step forward and 2 steps back. It's like I made progress. Oh, well, no, I didn't. But yes, you did, because as you took those 2 steps back, you learned something from that. And that's going to teach you and help you moving forward. Again, this is not going to keep you, this isn't going to make you perfect. This is just going to make you better probably than you were the day before. It doesn't mean you're never going to mess up or do something, down the road. But again, you're going to evaluate that experience. So I just, want to say that. So the questions I say are, what were the results? Was it a positive experience or negative? Why was it a positive experience or a negative? What factors played a key role in it being both of those? How can I continue to embrace those positive features in the front or in the future? And what can I learn from the negative results that were experienced? What can I do better next go around? One of the things that we did in our last business was we evaluated a lot how our church walked through things and how they handled things and how they, communicated all of these different things. Disney, whether you love or hate them, we've actually gone through like a Disney Institute leadership training where we've seen how they have institutionalized their values, how they, that's a, that can kind of get off on a tangent there, but also how they like over communicate the details. So there's things that we've taken away and learned as we've evaluated other people's experiences.
Yeah,
and
you
successes.
you can learn anything from any company, no matter what they are. If they're a big company, they're doing some things right, even though you may not agree with everything they
100%.
do. But you can still learn a lot from them.
100%. Another question I said is, how did I feel overall about the experience? Was it hard? Something I enjoyed? Did it involve my skill set? Did it line up with my passions? I've mentioned in one of our previous videos about how I worked for about 4 to 5 years as a nurse. When I can look back and evaluate those experiences, I'm thankful for that season. It taught me a lot, but it also taught me that I was not working within my passion and within my skill set. And it really taught me something, even though I wasn't probably walking directly into who I was made to be. But I still learned from it.
Another thing that I think is important there is, and this is, I'm thinking of an example that we do events every now and then, big events or small events. And beforehand we go, okay, how do we want people to feel
right
when they leave this event?
This is really good what he's saying.
Like what's the theme, or how do we want them to feel? And so it's important to evaluate, like, what were people talking about when they left, or when they gave feedback, or when they were in your business, in your store, whatever it is. Like, how does it make them feel? Like, it's important. Like, if you get a positive feeling from walking into a business, like one of the things I love about having Clean Juice, the comments that I get is like, it just felt clean and bright and uplifting, and it's like
the music.
That's a positive experience, and so that makes people want to come back.
Yes. Thinking about experience, you're examining your experiences, but examine the experience that you're wanting other people to have. I don't even go into that in this chapter, but that's really good that you brought it up. Because before we would do the events, we would say that. What do we want people to experience? How do we want them to feel? What do we want them to say? What do we want, And those are the types of things that we try making sure, if we're wanting them to feel this way, then we need to make sure that that's getting in the event, that's getting in, that dynamic.
Filter every decision you make about the thing through that lens of how you want people to feel.
Yes. And there was a time that when we owned the scrapbook store, there was a spa, a very nice spa right across the street from us. It was like bougie spa. and so beautiful, like the lighting, the spa area. It was like, it's like beautiful with like candles and like, you know, dimly lit.
I never went in there.
Did you not?
Not once.
Oh my goodness. It was amazing. And
But I want to.
They also had a salon in there. And I went to go get my hair done there. And I loved the experience of the spa part of it. It was so nice and relaxing. And really the reason why I went there was because my business was so busy. I just wanted a break from reality. And I remember the first time I went and sat in the chair to get my hair done, they were like playing, it was like pop music, and it was like all like
Not relaxing.
beats. And I was like, oh, whoa, like that's, I was thinking I was going to have the spa experience like I had the spa experience over in the other room. This is not. And so I think it's funny. Have you ever gone into a restaurant that's like a Japanese restaurant, and they're playing like
Country music.
yeah, country
It's
music
so
or something?
weird.
You're like, this just doesn't
feel right.
This doesn't feel right. And so I think sometimes like the experience that you want people to have, think about all of those things, that it touches all the senses, what they see, what they hear, what they smell, what they, you know, what they walk away feeling.
Yeah, it could even be like a business meeting. Like, what do you want that person, I mean, like, do you want them to think positively about a product you're selling or a house purchase or whatever it is? And so think about, you know, how you want them to feel, and then evaluate after if you feel like you said the right things and did the right things to make them feel that way.
And it needs to be done in the moment. Don't put that off. Like don't put it off.
Yes,
I
the
was,
evaluation needs to be done immediately.
It needs to be done pretty
because you
quickly.
forget so fast.
I would even say I'm a notebook person. I'm obsessed with notebooks. By the way, I will drop a link in the description. I should be putting a link in the description every single time of my favorite notebook, because y'all, I'm obsessed with notebooks. Let me tell you, they need to be spiral. They need to be spiral, and like they need to be pretty, and they also need to have like the right amount of spacing. Like I'm particular. I actually wrote a whole blog post about notebooks. That's what I'll link. But
yeah, she's ordered them from internationally because there was one she had to have.
I know.
Cases of them.
I know. I talk all about it in the blog post.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about it here.
Link that blog post. That's funny.
But but have a notebook that you can write those kinds of things in almost immediately. Like if you're leaving a meeting, like just say, hey, let's talk about that really quick. What do you think we could have done better? What do you think we did good? You know, how do you think we walked away with that guy feeling? I tell a funny story. Jared got to laughing when we were sitting here reading this chapter. When we had our previous business, we did a lot of, well, actually, when we were printing stuff like this and just a bunch of other stuff, we worked with a bunch of suppliers and printers. And we had a particular event that we had a company that we were just going to test out. We had one company that we loved, but we had another one that we were going to test out, and they printed some booklets, and we were like last minute getting on the stuff. It was a pretty quick job turnover, but when we got it, it just was not the quality that met our standards. There was a lot of issues with them, and so when we
wasn't embracing excellence.
They weren't embracing excellence. And when we went to, after the event was over, we went to go have a meeting with this new place just to kind of, you know, see like, is this the company that we want to switch our printing to? And we go in there, and our financial and business manager was with us, and the guy was so nice.
I don't think I was there. I think it was just you and him.
Really?
I don't remember being there.
Oh, that's weird.
Because I probably would have said this too.
You probably would have. I'm pretty positive you were there.
I don't think
anyway, so we go in, and this guy's so sweet, and he's talking to us about how he just got married and his new wife, and how this was a family business, and he was, you know, going to be taking it over one day, and he was just learning the ropes, and he gave us a tour of everything. And we sit down in his office, and there was the picture of him and his wife, and just a sweet guy. And we sit down, and Eric immediately, in a nice way, not anything mean, he immediately addresses that, hey, listen, you know, I'm just going to put it up front, like the last project that we just had done from you guys was not done with excellence, and it just did not meet our standards. And I was like, oh my goodness, I went into freak out mode. And so I overly like, oh my gosh, it's okay. I mean, think about it. We gave it to you at the last minute. I mean, I should have known the gray covers could have had a lot of miscolorations or like some flaws. And I'm like overly. And so when we walk out and we get in the car, Eric was like, what was that about? And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, what happened in there? And he was like, you totally went into freak out mode. And I was like, and he said, listen, I wasn't saying that he was a bad person. I was just saying the truth. The experience it wasn't great. And he's like, he needs to know that, because if he's going to be taking over this business, he needs to understand the quality that most people are going to expect and that they didn't deliver. And so honestly, Monique, this is helping his business. You're thinking about it in a different way. And so that was just one example of how we would always evaluate when we left. So I could keep going on and on, but what I want you to do, if you've gone through
there's a scripture.
Oh yeah, I'll go ahead and read the scripture. If you've gone through any of the other videos, I hope you have. No matter how many you've gone through, I would ask you evaluate those. Like, look back on them. I've given a little spot in each one of on here in the study, a place where you can you see it?
Yeah, hold it back. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, a place where you can write down for every chapter. And so if you've got your notebook, go through the videos that you've accomplished and the topics, and just evaluate them. Like, what was your experience with it? What was something that you learned? What was something that was hard? What was something that you need to apply to your life?
You may have to reread it or rewatch it to remember.
Yeah, and that's fine. But kind of think through it through that lens. The verse that I put in here was Philippians 3:12 through 15. It says, not that I have already obtained this or am already perfect, but I press on to make it my own, because Christ Jesus has made me his own. Brothers, I do not consider that I have made it my own, but one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead. I press towards the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. Let those of us who are mature think this way. And if anything you think otherwise, God will reveal that also to you. And so I would say, as you are evaluating these things, ask the Lord to reveal to you things that you need to work on, or things that you did great that produced a good result. It's like, literally ask the Lord to show you these things.
Yeah, I kind of think that's it's a different version of saying, like, keep moving forward too.
Yes.
It's like, evaluate, get better a little bit, move forward. Evaluate, get better a little bit, move forward. And
finally, the other two things of homework I would say is evaluate your day before you go to bed. Even if you've got a little notebook that you jot down some things, like, just evaluate your day. And then ask some other people who are in your life just to give you some constructive criticism. Maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a really good friend. Give them permission.
People like me.
People like Jeremiah. And finally, don't be offended. Like, don't live in this offense like I did earlier today when Jerry made that comment. I'm like, my goodness, look at what I'm doing. So I hope you apply this to your life. It's super life-changing if you embrace this.
I feel like this is kind of my chapter. Like,
you do.
Yeah, because, I see the things that need to be evaluated.
You actually do. You really do. Some people are gifted in that, to kind of see the details. You even said in the day that we talked about you are uniquely made, that, like, you almost think of it as a negative because you see things that need to be improved or worked on or fixed, but actually it's super good. Like,
I just have to communicate it properly.
Exactly. It's the way you communicate it. So anyway, okay, that was today's topic, examining your experience. And today, or tomorrow's, we are talking about success does not equal contentment. Before we leave, I really have been thinking about this, that I should be saying this in all the videos. Like, I think I said it in the first few, but didn't say it in the rest. Like, share with us in the comments if there are some things that you've evaluated, or you've been like, hey, this is a way that I've applied this to my life. We would love to hear that. Again, that is me evaluating it, because I'm like, man, I've said it in the first few and I love having that interaction, and then I haven't said it. So that's me evaluating my experiences. I've said it on some and haven't said it on the others, but we want to hear from you. We want to communicate. We want it to feel like one big happy family. So tomorrow, in the next video, we are talking all about success. Success doesn't equal contentment. It's easy to forget the chapters. That's what I get. Pride goes before a fall. That's what I get for calling you out today.
Hey, but if you like this video or you just didn't hate it, give us a big thumbs up. And also, it really help us out if you'd subscribe to our channel. Maybe tell a few friends. They might want to check the videos out. And last but not least, if you're like me and you want to be in the know when a new video posts, this one's going to post a few minutes late. Apologize for that. Hit that notification bell so that you can get all the notifications.
Yes. Okay. Well, we can't wait to have you back for the next video. Success doesn't equal contentment. Bye.